Welcome back to Retro Console Modding News. I'm starting to run out of jokes to put in the intro here. NFTs bad? Let's just get started. The first news story is from WebHDX. They actually were in my Discord and they posted that they did an HDMI mod to a Wii Mini. The Wii Mini is supposed to be difficult to add an HDMI mod to, but they posted a really good thread about their install of the Arthurmus Wii HDMI board. It's not a very easy install, and from the looks of it, actually you can kind of barely tell that they had to use magnet wire here to connect some of the places on the board to other places. So it's definitely not a simple mod, but it is cool that it is possible to add a HDMI port to these consoles. This isn't an official guide, but maybe someday we can get around to creating a guide for people to follow. Next, let's talk about this Macho Nacho video where they went over this new GameGear PCB. This is basically a motherboard replacement for the GameGear that uses almost all new components. I think it still uses the GameGear processor, but the big draw here is if you have a damaged GameGear motherboard, you can basically just swap out the necessary components from that board into this new board and you have a working system again. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks, which can also be seen as a plus, is that it was only designed to be used with new GameGear LCD mods. If you take a look at an original GameGear board, you can see that there's a ton of components on the left side over here. Contrasted with the brand new board, you'll see that most of those components are not there anymore. A lot of those components were for the original screen for the GameGear, so by looking at a schematic, you can kind of tell which components are not necessary because they only were used for the original screens. Math, the person who created that board, has a big Instagram filled with tons of pictures for both this and as well as a redesigned audio board. So definitely take a look at their Instagram for more updates around this mod. If you haven't watched the Macho Nacho video, go ahead and watch it because it includes a bunch of information as well as an interview with that developer. One thing I wanted to note is that Tito said that these were going to be available on eBay, and I don't think they're there yet. Somebody in my Discord mentioned that in Ben Ven's Discord, Math posted that he might have some this weekend. So I'll try to stay on top of that, and if those boards become available on eBay, I'll try to tweet out that they're going to be available. Quick update on ASM FPG's PS1 Mr. Core. It looks like now you could do 2-player in some games, so that's pretty cool. It's almost every week now that we're having information about this Mr. Core, so that's really awesome. This week we got sort of a teaser from 8-Bit Mods, who are the people that created the MemCard Pro for the PlayStation 1. They dropped a hint that they're working on a memory card for another console, and then they posted a picture of Resident Evil screen. Now, if you look at the comments, a lot of people are saying it's the GameCube, and I think that that would be really awesome, especially we know that we're going to have a GameCube Digital next year, hopefully. So with the GameCube Digital, the GC loader, as well as one of these memory cards, that's pretty much going to be the best GameCube that you can create. 2022 is going to be an awesome year for the GameCube. I know that not many people are going to care about this, but we finally figured out why Sony went after Dbrand about their dark plates. It seems that Sony wanted to release their own colored shells for the PS5. I don't even have a PS5. I just think that this story with Dbrand and Sony is funny. But now we've got these cool colors for PS5s if you want to customize yours. I've been following this person on Twitter, Chizori Mom. I'm sorry I butchered that, but they actually ordered all the parts to create an N64Adv2, which is Bordy's N64 HDMI mod. And it looks like they finally got it all put together and installed into a console. And they even installed an internal Blue Retro, so that's cool. It's only a matter of time before people start creating and selling these boards, so I think 2022 also will be a good year for N64 HDMI mods. One thing I wanted to mention last week, but I totally forgot, is this JAMMIX video tap. I had posted on Twitter about the new OSSC versions, and MidGeek Crisis commented about JAMMIX working on a scaler that uses the DE10 Nano. And JAMMIX responded by saying something about this JAMMIX video tap uses the same scaler that the Mister already uses, ASCAL. So it sounds like they're working on a standalone scaler Mister core, so you basically could take some analog signal into the DE10 Nano, and using the already available scaler for the Mister, you would be able to scale that like any upscaler. So this is really interesting, but I don't have any more information yet, so hopefully soon JAMMIX will tell us what this is all about. And finally, let's talk a little bit about the Analogue Pocket. I'm not going to talk that much about it in this video. If you want a really good review of the Analogue Pocket, you should check out the My Life in Gaming video. I put out a poll on my Twitter and my YouTube community asking people if they were excited about the Analogue Pocket, and I did not expect the response that I got. It was actually majority of people on both YouTube and Twitter were not really excited at all for the Analogue Pocket. And I say majority because it was over 50%, 55 to 60%. People did not care. I want to take a couple of minutes to try to convince some of you that may have voted no there that the Analogue Pocket is actually actually a little bit important for retro and where things are going in the future. I think first and kind of most importantly is this concept of reverse engineering of the original screens for some of these handhelds. I know we've gotten kind of a taste for this with things like slot masks for the N64 Digital and Mister, but going forward, I think we're going to have a lot more of this sort of CRT emulation technology. And I'm not just trying to talk about crappy scan lines, I'm talking about literally reproducing what the CRT looked like. You can kind of see it here with this original DMG kind of green backlit LCD. This is something that you don't really get with other scalers because I think it's just grayscale, so you don't really get that authentic kind of original console feel. I think the idea of handheld consoles is kind of personal to people, so some people are not even going to care about using an upscaler for a handheld. But I think if we can get to a place where we can play these older Game Boy games but using the authentic green color on a scaler, I think that would be really awesome. Or maybe even like a consolizer that used those colors. And the second thing, and this is kind of theoretical right now, is the Analogue Pocket is actually a 10 times scale of the original Game Boy. I know there might be some trickery involved because the panel is literally just 10 times the original size, so I don't think that there's a ton of processing involved, but I think eventually we're going to get into some territory where we'll have, 4K, even 8K upscaling of games. And at that level, you can do some amazing things with subpixels and truly emulating what an original CRT might look like. Imagine having an LCD replica of a CRT screen. I mean, that would just be crazy. And the last thing that I think is important is this is kind of like the first Switch FPGA. The concept of having an FPGA handheld that has a bunch of cores in it that all you have to do is connect to a dock and then you can use it as a consolizer on your TV. Now, I don't necessarily know if we're gonna see a ton of open source cores for this. Handheld NES and Super Nintendo, things that you could bring to somebody's house and play with them casually, all in your handheld pocket. I know we're not gonna get that directly from Analogue because why would they try to cannibalize some of their other console sales? But in my opinion, that's just an inevitability. Something like a Mister that you can play handheld but also dock or easily move between one room and another without having to, disconnect and connect a bunch of cables. That was the innovation that the Switch brought to us, was being able to have one kind of console and bring it around to different rooms in your house without having to worry about transferring files or anything because it's all on the one device. Maybe that won't convince anybody to care about the Analogue Pocket, but those are the reasons that I care about it, and I can't wait for it to be more readily available next year. Let me know what you think. Do you think any of my reasons are good? Do you have another reason why you want or don't want one of these Analogue Pockets? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. If you want to suggest a news story to me, follow me on Twitter or join the Discord. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.